All righty, we are recording and nothing can be retracted. I can't do, filters or anything to make you look prettier. There's nothing I can do. That's all on you. So again, this is Virtual Presentation Friday. It's going to be a great discussion today with our panel. And I just want to thank everybody coming. This is the last Virtual Presentation Friday for May, because next week is a holiday weekend. And as we all know, that's more important. You're not going to join me. So I'd rather you go out and get in the sun and enjoy the holiday weekend. Maybe it's a 4-day, hopefully it is. But we do these Virtual Presentation Fridays every week except for holiday weekends. And we provide a free hour of a nationally accredited CEU, thanks to Vala, Julie Moore, who is on the call helping with attendance. So again, if you are wanting those credits, there'll be an email following this call that's a thank you email. So please make sure that you check your emails and spam. Sometimes Constant Contact goes to the junk mail. So if I do send them out, and as long as I have your email, you will get it. Just check your mail, your spam especially, and your junk. But again, these are a free CEU credits, and this Friday's presentation is brought to us by our exclusive sponsor, who is Caremerge, and I'm really excited to hear more about them. And they'll be turning it over to our wonderful presenter, Ms. Samantha Prinster, with Cedarhurst, and I will now turn it over to Josh and Megan to take away the conversation and the presentation. Now I will shut up.
Thank you, Micah. We greatly appreciate it. And thank you all for attending. I hope you can see my screen. We have a little presentation to go through. That was such an energy-filled introduction. Everyone is so excited. I love it. It gets me such in a good mood on a Friday morning. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for having us. We greatly appreciate it. I'm Josh Studzinski. I'm the VP of Go-to-Market Strategy and Operations at Caremerge. And we're going to be talking through Cedarhurst's journey with technology. It's going to be a fantastic interactive session. I have Meagan Rohan on here, who's our VP of Sales. Samantha from Cedarhurst will be talking through their journey. And we're going to kick it off and go through a bit about Caremerge, who we are, what we do, what drives us every day, what's our mission as an organization. Why do we get up every day and have this passion to help senior living because of the technology we get to bring to residents, to families, to staff. It's such an amazing space. And thank you all for that you guys do within senior living. It's so amazing to see all of you and have this conversation today. And I'm going to pass it off to Samantha. She's going to go through her journey with working through Caremerge, and then we'll leave it open for some questions at the end. But feel free to drop anything in the chat if you have anything along the way. So Caremerge has been around now since about 2012, and we are on a mission to ensure the aging experience is filled with peace of mind and joy. So we do that in everything that we do, whether that's helping family members to stay better connected to their loved one, whether it's improving staff's enjoyment with technology, residents to feel more engaged because we could provide a digital platform for them to connect with interests and connect with others. So we do that in everything that we do and everything that we build on a daily basis. We're currently in over 500 communities across the US. I think it's about 41 different states. We have strong investors with Ziegler, Insight Ventures, Echo Ventures. We're backed by some big organizations that believe in not just us, but also our mission that we try to bring to life every day. We've been an Inc. 5000 company in 2020. We're another one in 2018. And we're headquartered in Chicago, but we're everywhere. We're across the US. Everyone's remote now. So I think that's something I'm going to nix now that we enter this new normal in this remote working world. But that's who we are as an organization and kind of what we do.
And shout out to the attendee from Joliet, our neighbor.
Yeah, Joliet. I'm in Worth, grew up in Tinley Park for 21 years. Joliet's right down the street. We used to go to White Fence Farm. I think that's right in Joliet, and get some corn fritters. Love that place. Everything that we do within our technology set, we try to really bring our mission to life. And I'm going to pass it off to Meagan to talk a little bit about how we do that with our solutions.
Thanks, Josh. So pleasure to meet everyone. Great to be here. As Josh mentioned, what we do to bring life to our technology is that we want to be a one-stop shop for our providers. Whether it's in a CCRC setting, a life plan community, if it's a standalone nursing home or memory care, how can we support older adults through the entire continuum? Not only the older adults that we're serving, but how can we serve the team members? How can we serve the family members? And so we've been very thoughtful about how we've entered the space. We want to be that one-stop shop that provides tools for the staff, the residents, and the family. It's a HIPAA compliant platform so that you can be sure that when you're sharing information amongst the team or throughout the families, you have that security behind you. What's really nice as well is that, like we said, we've been very thoughtful about how we're putting these tools in the hands of these team members. So we support the change management, whether you're coming off of paper or legacy solutions, we support the transition throughout. In addition, we are an open platform, and because we are a new technology, we have the benefit of being able to plug and play with the other best in breed vendors that might already be in your communities. So we love working with the teams to say, like, let's remove all these siloed solutions. Let Caremerge come onto the campus, and then as you bring on new vendors, you have the confidence in knowing that we can plug and play with the other solutions that will be coming on today or in the future. As we know, with this new normal, people are exploring new options, bringing new tools on board. So we want to be that vendor that will plug and play with everyone on campus. In addition to the engagement solutions, we want to be that 360 vendor. We want to provide you not only knowledge around what's happening on the wellness and the programming, providing information through TVs, but we want to help drive compliance with your tools. So we offer a EHR and an EMR. I saw some pharmacy attendees on here too. We want to partner with you. We want to plug in with your pharmacy to provide less opportunity for any kind of discrepancy with hand entering or hand keying information. It's just a no-brainer. And again, being a technology that's been introduced in the last 10 years, we've had the benefit of being cloud-based. We're very nimble. We can build out assessments that are proprietary to different organizations. Like we said, we've been very thoughtful about how we can support our base. And with our EHR, a little bit of our differentiation has been that we really play in the assisted living memory care space. And in doing so, we wanted to support the CNAs, the med techs, those who are doing tons of our day-to-day documentation. So our apps have been built for those individuals, which is really neat. So again, we provide integrations. We're plugging and playing with the vendors you already have on campus. But it's been an exceptional honor to be helping some of these communities through the pandemic, helping them identify what's going to help drive compliance. What's going on with COVID? How are those regulations changing? So it's important to us that we've been a support to our partners before the pandemic and learning how we can support their needs and be nimble on the fly through the pandemic, which is now our new normal. So with that, I'll turn it over to Josh to talk about how we are supporting this new normal.
Yeah, and it's here, and it's not just about adopting technology and putting something new into your solution stack or your technology stack and bringing on another communication tool. It's about the acceleration of technology that you might already have in place and might be adopting as you go through this journey. So we've seen that in a couple stories, and one we're going to have online today, which is really exciting. And Friendship Senior Option is another great client of ours in the Chicagoland area. They went from just a single channel approach of communication, utilizing emails and sending them out, to a multi-channel. They use video, they use media, they use our broadcast solution to do texting, to really meet people where they are in the way that they want to consume content, because everybody is going to get it and consume it and utilize it and read it differently. So how do you meet people where they are? Or John Knox Village out in Pompano in Florida, about sending communication. And when they first entered the pandemic, they didn't have Caremerge fully ramped up, and they decided to really put roots in and started to use our digital resident engagement platform and build out a robust catalog of content, virtual activities, live events, and really created a space where residents could find new interests. We heard from Jameson Becker, who is their activities director over there and life enrichment manager, talk about how residents found new interests because they have this robust catalog of different activities and helped reduce some of that social isolation of some of the residents. And then Kingswood decided to utilize Alexa. They were printing newsletters. They were spending a lot of money on printing because they were printing them for everybody, and decided, hey, we're going to invest in voice technology because I could put it in one spot. A resident could ask, Alexa, what are the news updates for my day? Or Alexa, what's new at my community? and I hope nobody's Alexa went off during that time. Usually a bunch of them start to go off. They decided to utilize that as their platform of choice. They cut down on their costs in terms of printing, and they expedited the ability for residents to get information when they wanted and how they wanted. And then lastly, Cedarhurst went from just utilizing technology to really getting deep with our family engagement solution, providing peace of mind, saving staff time. I'm not going to go through all of the benefits here because Samantha is going to hit them, but it's just a fantastic journey to hear about their tech acceleration path. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Samantha, who is the Director of Marketing and Communications over at Cedarhurst. Thank you, Samantha, for joining us.
Thank you, Josh, for having me. Really excited to be here today and to share with all of you just kind of our strategies and how we really enhanced our use of Caremerge to improve our communication across the board, but then also continually with increasing family and resident satisfaction. We have been using Caremerge for a few years now, and primarily with the electronic health records and the EMR system. And then at the very beginning of the pandemic, we were spending a lot of time, as I'm sure most of you were, with ensuring we were communicating and being transparent and, you know, getting with residents and staff and ensuring just everyone knows what's going on. And it was kind of a gruesome process at first because it was very manual. But through partnering with Caremerge, we were able to simplify the solution and make it more effective. Josh, I think you can switch over. So one of the key aspects that we were able to do that with is really utilizing Caremerge's broadcast tool. Through this tool, rather than manually sending out updates through having to print letters and hand deliver them into every apartment, mailing them to families, emailing to families and to residents, and hoping that it doesn't bounce, printing staff letters and putting them in the break rooms, we were able to go into Caremerge's broadcast system, streamline that process, and send out the communication in the form that each individual wants it most. So it's super easy to use. We were able to just, you know, select which group we wanted to communicate with and then how we were doing that. And Caremerge would then send it out based on their communication preferences. So that was through email, voicemail, and text. What was really great about this is not only were we utilizing their broadcast tool, we were utilizing their family engagement tool as well as that additional level of engagement and support, but also as kind of another notification point. Where we really saw that great increase is it comes straight on their phones. And so they'll see a text or the app notifying them there's a new announcement, and it really just gets people like, oh, what's going on? And they open up their phone and they go in and they look, and not only now are they able to see, you know, what mom and dad or grandma or grandpa might have been doing that day, they're also able to see major organizational changes, announcements, and more importantly, throughout the last year, where we were with the pandemic. Was there an exposure? Is mass testing occurring? And it just not only aided in just general communication and pandemic communication, but we continue to refine and utilize it throughout crisis communication. Feel free to switch. So this is probably one of my favorite aspects of using this tool. We say it saved at least 2 hours. I can definitely tell you it saved me more than 2 hours a day. You know, we currently are operating 53 communities in 9 different states. And so I would spend a lot of time crafting the communication for each community, because as you all know, each community is different. And especially during a pandemic, different exposure levels, policies and requirements based on states. And so rather than manually doing that and then getting on calls and outlining instructions for the communities on how to manually continue to pass that out, this platform was able to just easily save time, streamline it, and make it more efficient, which has just been a game changer for our organization. All right. As I kind of spoke to earlier on Caremerge's family engagement app, it gives, you know, families that peace of mind But like I said, it gives them the notifications of when to come on, how they can track things. We as an organization are currently actually undergoing some just brand research in general. And through focus groups, we've actually have heard families, some ours and some just adult children who right now are looking for a place for their loved one, share how the biggest thing that they want is the ease of knowing what's going on. I think we all battle still with the misconception about assisted living and memory care in our industry. And we're still battling that fear that the adult children have and the guilt of, I can no longer keep mom and dad at home. They need that additional care that I can't provide. And so allowing them to have an app on their phone that they can go in at any time and get photos of their loved one enjoying the day, see what activities they attended, organizational announcements, ask questions and get a response right back. It has just been a game changer in peace of mind and reassurance. And we really have seen that not only in our organization, but like I said, through these focus groups, it's really coming to light that as this new generation of seniors and boomers enter, their adult children are more technology minded and focused. And this is really bringing them the information where they want it most. And that's just right on their cell phones.
Samantha, that's awesome to hear. Do you view that as part of the buying process now, that communities, that baby boomers and prospects coming in are going to be asking for technology like this from communities?
100%. We actually, in a few of our communities, kind of did a pilot, like A/B test
Okay.
of offering additional technological features, I guess. I couldn't get that word out. And the adult children were just loving it. The use of being able, talking to them about how we are currently in the process of working to roll out Caremerge Voice and saying, hey, this is coming soon. And they're like, that's fantastic. That mom and dad can just say, hey, I'm not going to say her name because I have one in my office.
Yeah.
What's for lunch today? And then, but also for our memory care residents, those that are still functioning high level of being like, hey, don't forget, it's time to do A, B, and C and things. It's going to be a game changer in care altogether, which just brings that additional level of peace of mind.
That's fantastic. Another thing I hear is families will send back pictures to staff to actually print out in the rooms, because they'll get new photos of grandkids playing in the pool outside, or having a birthday party that they might not be able to attend. So it's a great way to send and keep memories going back and forth between each other. So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Personally, when my grandmother, I'm from New York, but now I'm a transplant in Missouri.
I didn't know you were from New York. That's awesome.
Yes, Staten Island.
All right.
My grandmother was, in a community in New York, and she didn't have email. And so it was, sending photos via snail mail. Like, it would have been amazing for her to have something like this at that time, to just see us being like my high school graduation where she couldn't attend, being able to get a photo printed out so quickly. Like, that's such a great tool.
Yeah. I wish I knew about this before I joined Caremerge and my grandparents were going into an assisted living community. You don't know what you don't know until you see it, right? And then you get to see the benefits and you're like, how could we do without something like this? You know what I mean?
Definitely. And even with like the photos, like we as an organization utilize One Day, which also connects with Caremerge's family engagement. So not only are our families able to send us, we're able to send them videos of their residents. And it's so sweet how the One Day app works. It's like a really, resident storytelling and like sharing memories. And then they then have these memories all on their phone that they can then save. And it's almost like telling the residents' life journey of like, oh, I remember, this was my favorite moment as a mom, or I remember when your grandpa proposed to me. And it's great how they interact. But then an additional layer is through staff communication. We as an organization use One Day to send our staff updates and emails or not emails, updates on what's going on, but we send it through Caremerge. And so, for example, we recently are rolling out additional layers of employee satisfaction, and one of which is going to be beginning is Feedback Fridays. And
Okay.
so not only are we going to be then getting their information so that we can continuously improve and improve satisfaction, but the most important layer to that is then telling our employees we hear them and this is what we're doing to improve it. And we're going to be sending all of that through one-day videos through Caremerge, going directly to our employees' iPads while they're all at the community, so they always know what's going on. It's great.
Great. And that's why it's key to have a solution that can have them all connected, right? To make sure that you keep it all in one spot. And it sounds like from what you were saying before, you know, you guys kind of use broadcast as the quick message to get out updates, and then utilize the family engagement solution as more like the home base for content, more like the feed. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So like the text feature in broadcast is a game changer, because when you have, you know, those formal letters from, you know, the chief wellness officer, chief operating officer, and you're attaching that into family engagement, you know, sending that quick text of like, hey, very important notice, log in today, check it out.
Yeah.
And then having that feature during the pandemic greatly then increased our family's participation in Caremerge's family engagement. And now they're like, I can't believe I weren't using it before.
Did you see an increase or change within, so we have Net Promoter Score, which is a quick survey within our, did you see a change in that or getting more feedback from families too?
Yes, we have received great feedback from families on our communication. And not only is it on our NPS scores, but then it's funneling into our online reputation. You know, we have been receiving Google reviews, senior advisor reviews, caring.com reviews of on our communication specifically during the pandemic, but then how we are using technology to improve resident satisfaction, but then also families are more engaged and connected. Not only did the NPS and then our Google reviews go up, but then that kind of led to us brainstorming on using the platform for our resident satisfaction surveys as well, which was a whole other game changer.
Fantastic. Next slide.
Yep.
All right. There you go.
So I think we kind of were just talking about this a lot.
It's like we planned this transition. It worked out well.
It did. So, you know, kind of on the screen, you're going to see, as I'm sure many of your communities did, we all in senior living quickly transitioned our marketing strategies at the time to not necessarily be about, you know, come in and tour, instead to be like, this is what we are doing to keep our residents safe. You know, we are doing testing on site. We are having preventative measures, symptom screenings, but then we made sure to add, like, we implemented connective technology. It is, you know, you always want everyone up to date and communicating and knowing what's going on. But then when you add a pandemic on top of that, you know, that's heightened emotions, heightened anxiety and stress. And so just really reassuring not only our current residents and families, but those individuals who still were needing help. Even though there was a pandemic, there were still seniors who needed help and they needed to find a new home, and reassuring them that if you come to Cedarhurst, we're going to keep you connected. We're going to ensure that your family always knows what's going on. And it just really helped to bring that additional level of peace of mind, as I've been saying. But now that we're even getting additional research on, you know, the importance of this just throughout, it really helps to solidify that, honestly.
And I think it's important too, you guys have the survey to not get this fantastic feedback, but if there's any issues you need to address, right, quickly, because if you're doing a yearly survey and you're waiting to the end of the year to get that feedback from family members, one, they might have forgotten, or two, it might have built up resentment over that time that they're not getting their needs met or issues addressed. Have you seen that at all too, to utilize that kind of as a deterrent for any issues that come up?
100%. That NPS factor, like, you know, we get those, you get an email notification if you choose. or a push notification, like when we see something negative, like we're instantly like, let's talk through this. How can we help? Really using that to gain operational insights so that we know where we need to pivot and focus on, not only so that we're continuously enhancing, that individual residents and families experience, but then that's something we can roll over as an organization across the board to just continuously align with our mission.
That's great. How do you plan, now that we're going in, well, we're in Q2, like Q3, Q4, utilize technology more in your marketing, since you're kind of spearheading that across all your communities? What are some future plans as you guys roll into the second half of this year?
Yeah, we kind of just said like we're getting ready to get the ball rolling on Caremerge Voice, which I, as a marketing director, is itching for this to happen. I'm so excited. Like it's going to be great to be sharing that. But then like continuously adding that into like our marketing and our communication, our collateral. Like when family comes in and tours, like we go through like our technological advancements and why we're doing what we do. And it's just going to continue, honestly, like as more and more technology comes into even our own personal lives, we have to be able to adapt as an organization. And so I'm sure it's just going to continue to become more and more tech savvy.
That's it. Awesome. Samantha, thank you for telling you guys' story about utilizing Caremerge. Micah, we went a little bit early on the time, but I think, Samantha, thank you. That was amazing to hear how you guys utilize it, your plans for the future. It's such a fantastic journey, and thank you for being a partner of ours.
No, thank you.
So we're going to try to open up the floor to questions. If anybody has any questions about how to utilize technology in your community, how to take advantage of some of the things that that they were talking about in this discussion. So feel free to start asking some questions. We have some extra time for that. And then Josh, if you don't mind to stop sharing so you can see if people have questions. There we go. So does anybody have any questions whatsoever in regards to technology and senior living and how it pertains to your community, how it can help your community, and so forth? Does anybody have any questions? Don't all jump out at the screen at once. Oh, come on. Just because we get off early doesn't mean there can't be any questions. There's still plenty of time. Even if we get off at 15 till, there's still more time to get off and go have that afternoon glass or whatever you want to do out on Friday, for those of you that are able to. Okay, so I had a question in the chat, and it was, what about costs? Is it based on number of residents?
Yes. So the cost is based off of residents. It's also on, do you have a TV channel? Do you need hardware? Do you have integrations? There's many factors that go into the cost, into the proposal. And like Samantha was talking about voice, do you need echo dots? So there are numerous things that will go into this. And we help scope that out and define, what do you actually need? And then we go through the pricing and proposal review. So there are numerous factors that go in there, and they vary, but we're willing to help out to make sure communities have the best of breed technology to communicate with everyone.
Thank you. And I hope that answers your question. And then Cheryl, did you say you are using this only in assisted living and memory care? Either Josh or Samantha?
Yeah. So our clinical solution is built for assisted living and memory care communities. We do not have everything built in for all the regulations that deal with a skilled nursing facility, but our engagement solutions are used across the whole continuum, whether it is an independent living community that wants to use a resident engagement platform or a TV channel, assisted living memory care where family engagement is more prevalent to communicate with families about updates, and then in skilled nursing too, family engagement, TV channel, echo, dots, Caremerge voice. We have many solutions to meet the whole continuum. Our clinical solution is just specific for ALMC.
Those are some good questions. Does anybody else have some added ones that you can share or ask either in chat? Because obviously I'll read them to you, so you don't have to feel embarrassed. Even though, if you chat to everybody, then everybody still sees it. So if you don't find anybody to, so you mentioned you have an EMAR module, but does the communication module integrate with other EMAR systems such as QuickMAR?
You mentioned you have an EMAR module, but does the communication module integrate with EMAR? So we're an open system. So it really depends on, from an integration standpoint, if they're willing to send data back and forth, because we have open APIs to communicate with anyone. We do have our own EMAR solution embedded within Caremerge. So we'd be willing to talk to anybody about flowing data back and forth, whether that's census data, communication data on a resident profile. It just really depends on the need. So the answer is yes, asterisk. It really depends on the other vendor, depending on if they have open APIs or have a connection that we could connect into.
Those are great questions, everybody. And that was, I hope that answers the question. And then, oh, Cheryl, of course, Cheryl. Is any one method of communicated preferred? Email, text, or voicemail?
Ooh, I would say, if you're asking me personally, text. That
I'm just curious.
Easy on the go. Maybe Samantha has an answer, when she went through this and started using. Do you see any difference from a preference standpoint?
We've seen a lot of people wanting the text option because like it just comes in, they can see it quickly, either get a high level, okay, I don't need to be concerned, or okay, I'm logging in right now to see what's going on.
And Cheryl, we have some partners who elect to use all of them so that they make sure their communications are hitting. So you can never
That's
be
great.
too safe, but yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious. I'm not surprised text is popular.
If you're an Office fan, I think that's called Woof from Ryan when he sends out all of those messages via everything. That's what we have built into the system. If you want to get your message out, there it is.
Great.
Thanks, Cheryl. So
I'll ask a question for those that may not want to, but how would this work with something like a home health agency, a private agency, a pharmaceutical rep? Like how would this both benefit and be a benefit to their purposes if it's available?
Sure, great question. So we explore different use cases. One of those use cases that we are exploring is adult day, home health. And it really depends on, from an adult day perspective, where someone is going to a center and then going back home, communications to that family member. Maybe they're not seeing that family member, or they're dropping them off and having communications throughout the day about what activities or anything that's going on so they could talk to mom and dad when they get home. Even from a home health perspective, if somebody's coming into the home to help out with care, and maybe that person is traveling or not home all of the time and just wants regular daily updates for maybe even tracking purposes, or sending like a wellness report, they're able to do that through our family engagement solution. It's not really a use case that we see all of the time, but there are different ways to utilize our technology to meet the needs of the family members or the caregivers that are providing care to their loved ones. So that does happen.
Awesome. And then I'll have a question for Samantha. So in your, in the communities, what do you see the families using most often to communicate with this program? Are you seeing them also use texting, or are you seeing them use both? Like, what are you seeing, especially with COVID last year? Obviously, everybody was doing everything digitally, but is there something that was being used more than not in the time that you guys were dealing with this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So each community is a little different just because different personalities within each of it, but we, even before COVID and continuing, we're still obviously in it, but as it loosens, we have a lot of family members that use the chat function within the family engagement platform because they're able to just communicate easily through the app, but then also they get that response timely and it's just easier. We do have some family that respond back to the emails if we send them off of broadcast. It just really kind of depends, but I would say we have more families that utilize the chat function than just responding off to our broadcast emails.
Wow, that's impressive. That's good to know. Does
Another
anybody else? Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, another thing within our solution too, we have the calendar built into the family engagement solution. So if there's an appointment or events going on, or maybe you want to do a virtual dinner date with mom and the family too, you want to put a video link in there, we could include that within our solution, which makes it really easy to coordinate between family and residents for any type of virtual events that are going on, or just a meet and greet or just to say hi, if the staff wants to coordinate something with a memory care resident. It just makes it really nice to do that. And you could utilize any video platform because we see a lot of residents using Skype and Zoom and FaceTime. We talked about, do we build our own video solution, but there's so many out there and there's so many great use cases. I FaceTime my parents almost every day. It would be difficult to use something else. So we give you the ability to use whatever you want to use within our platform.
Awesome. And now for some communities and some people that might be on this call, they have maybe adult daycares, they have, other programs. And I know you alluded to that a little bit. Like how would it benefit an adult daycare setting in regards to this service?
Yeah, so the family engagement side, but also just the calendar. So we have just a digital calendar for managing all activities and then managing wellness programming. So if somebody is coming in and you're saying, okay, they're not, we need to get them into more physical activities, or they want to focus more on spiritual activities or or maybe just environmental things. Maybe it's gardening. You could track all of those within our system by tracking dimensions of wellness to provide a holistic wellness profile for each resident. And then across your adult day service that you provide or across your community. So there are so many different ways you could utilize our platform. We also provide a printing solution that Cedarhurst is starting to roll out. So you can print your calendars, your newsletters right within Caremerge. So we try to be that one-stop shop. Nobody wants to work with 30 different vendors. It just makes it easier to work with one, have one that you trust that, if Samantha has an issue, she could call me, she could call Meagan, it just makes it a lot easier to have that all consolidated and have all the data in one place too.
That makes sense. I'm going to stop asking questions because I think I'm cheating by giving everybody a chance to just not ask their questions. Does anybody have any questions for Meagan, Samantha, or Josh at all? Please, again, you can feel free to chat if you'd like. Casey. Oh, I thought Casey was unmuted. I'm sorry. I was about to be like, but no, my screen was moving. Does anybody have any questions for our panelists at all?
I just have one. You mentioned that you have the ability to plug and play with other vendors. Can you give a couple examples of some of those vendors that you're working well with and integrating well with?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Mike.
I can take that, Josh.
Yeah.
So, Micheline, that was a great question. What's really great is that depending on what our partners want us to plug into, a lot of our partners love us to plug into a CRM. So their sales and marketing tool in the traditional senior living environment. Some of those names would be Sherpa, Welcome Home, Enquire. Some people even want us to plug into their welcome system. So something like an AccuShield, where they're tracking vendor and family visitors. Some want us to plug into a billing system like Yardi. Some want us to plug into, the Amazon Alexa. Some things that we're working with are technologies that are, Bluetooth based. So our residents are moving through the community on a WanderGuard system, tracking where they're going. Are they attending activities? So it's really fascinating to see what's important to our partners and how those vendor relationships can grow. Some other things would be maintenance, service requests, point of sale for dining. So it's a really exceptionally broad list of partnerships, but that's what makes it exciting, is that we want to be that one single sign-on for a resident or for a staff person. So that's really nice about those relationships. Josh, anything to add on that one?
No, I think you hit it. And I think it's great when you could pull that all into one resident engagement platform, whether, a resident logs in and they're like, okay, I need to put in a maintenance request. I want to check my dining points. I want to make a reservation. All of that can be done within one platform, opposed to logging into multiple ones, remembering passwords. It just makes it really simple and seamless for everybody. And then staff tracking it on the back end just makes it a lot easier.
There's no such thing as a ridiculous question. Let me just start off with that. This may be a ridiculous question, but who responds to all these family emails and texts? There are a lot of very involved families who ask a lot of questions or needs. Is it one person, or is the information pulled from info that's plugged in?
Samantha, you want to start?
Yeah, I was like, the Cedarhurst. So our teams do. So every member of our nursing staff, our nurses, our resident assistants, executive directors, they have access into Caremerge and they get notified when there's a family message. And so they go in and they're able to respond with our life enrichment department sends photos and responds to families about what's going on. A lot of times, even with the pandemic, when they couldn't come in, of sending out the message like, hey, answering or sending out a call for who wants to set up a family Zoom, and like messaging me like, okay, great, here's your link and things like that. So it's at obviously like the community level, really taking that ownership and building up that strength and things. If it is a organizational announcement that I send out, such as like a bigger change, then I am the one that would respond. But our organization does not use pre-copied messaging in our Caremerge platform. I don't even know personally if that's a capability, so I'll hand it to Megan and Josh to take it over.
No, we just have a welcome message from like a family announcements, but there's no like canned messaging send back. I would say also, so for life enrichment teams, staff members to respond, on the go, we have a staff app too for communication purposes. So if a life enrichment or activities director, or even just the staff at the front desk, there's an app, if they're on the go and a family member texts in or sends a message via the family engagement, they could respond within their phone, on their phones within the Caremerge app, right back and forth, messaging back the family members. So you don't have to go back to a computer. You don't have to go back to your desktop. You can do it all on the go within a secure platform. So it makes it very easy to message back one family member, multiple ones, send out an announcement to all family members, all on the go. So it makes it very simple to do that.
And I guess the last thing, and I know where you're coming from, because when I'm doing consulting with different communities and skilled nursing centers, like maybe like yourself, it's always a worry, like, is this going to bring more email? Is this an additional burden? And truly our goal is to reduce the amount of back and forth phone calls, emails, texts from because we all know the squeaky wheels. But with the app, when there's a lot of proactive information going out to the families, it really does reduce maybe the stress or the anxiety level. And the families do reduce the amount of back and forth because they're getting tons of stuff proactively. But because I feel that question quite a bit when I'm introducing the concept to the community. So hope that helps.
Yeah.
She's nodding her head and she said, thank you. At least that's what she looked like.
That's our Joliet friend. So we've got you.
Well, does anybody have any more questions at all? Because that was a good round of questions and good information. And again, no such thing as silly, stupid, ridiculous, out of this world question. Everything is valuable. So I'm going to give one little quick look around the screens. I don't see anybody. So if nobody has any more questions, I'm going to stop sharing, because usually that means people ask more questions.